Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Supernatural Strength Channel with myself, the fat lad, Neil Pickup, and back in the chair with a solid brick wall behind him, which is basically, I think, mate, you're blending into that brick wall. Look at that, eh? It's John Milne, ladies and gents, back in the house. John, we've just come off a show. We had to do another one. We can put this out a few days later. It'll look magic, but we were just getting into the groove, so we can't end it there, brother. Let's do it. Illegal, 9 countries. So we were talking about the bottom 8, but one of the guys you mentioned in there is Larry Wheels. Larry Wheels is one of a plethora of strongmen that are dancing around and showing interest in the sport of professional arm wrestling. Obviously, most notably, just announced Sir Eddie Hall. Arguably the strongest human being that's ever drawn breath. Certainly, if you're measuring it in who can lift the most weight off the floor standing in one spot, it's hard to make an argument that there's ever been anybody stronger than Eddie Hall. The man is immoral. He's another guy coming in. We've seen Scott Mendelsohn come in and do a little bit. There are others. You know, we've seen Thor messing around up there. I personally arm wrestled with Brian Shaw at the Giants Live events. Iron Bibby, and I think were you at the High Hookers when Bibby came over to train?
No.
Because let me tell you now, for anybody out there who doesn't know, Iron Bibby, I'm going to hold this expression for like a few seconds. Mate, Iron Bibby, okay? Unbelievably strong man. Literally unbelievable. Biggest legs in the world. Biggest legs of all time. All 3 of them. Let me tell you now. That dude, he bases himself over in Canada quite a lot. He's from Burkina Faso. Incredible shoulder presser, but loves arm wrestling. Loves arm wrestling. Talks about arm wrestling a lot whenever we go over to Giants events. And the man is built for the game. His thumb, when you just grip up with him, it's like gripping a Coke can with fingers. The guy's hands, oh my God, he's got some hands on him. Seriously, he goes for a piss and one side of his hand has grips on it. It's ridiculous. The man is illegally strong. Fellas like this coming into the sport, John, it's exciting times, mate.
I love it. It's fantastic. I don't know if you saw the video that Devon and I put out right away when you did the announcement of Eddie Hall coming, but I was hyped. I'm incredibly excited about it. There was some kickback, some people with some negativity, like you'll always find. I think
you do see it. I don't know why.
It's ridiculous.
I think people miss the point a little bit here. I mean, obviously there's a genuine crossover in all strength sports. I mean, let's be honest. If you like strength sports, you like strength sports.
Yeah.
If you know, we've all been to the gym. We all like from a baby, from a kid. I always liked and loved the whole culture, the whole ethos of all things strength. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ace, isn't it? Who doesn't love that? You know.
I love the whole idea.
Yeah.
I love when these guys are coming. Arm wrestling's cool. Arm wrestling's cool, and people are seeing more of it. And it really you know it's an ultimate test of man versus man, right? And you can do it anywhere without punching them in the face.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Without standing beside him at the urinal, you can find out. You know.
Yeah.
Right. So it's cool, and people are noticing it. And people are coming towards our sport, and I think it's incredible. I love it. I love it.
Now, it's interesting that these guys are suddenly coming in, and you do feel like, I mean, we've been in the sport for a long, long period of time, and I've spoke to a number of the guys who've been knocking around arm wrestling for years, and it's hard to feel like with the evolution of the digital age that arm wrestling isn't on the cusp of something really, really significant. I don't want to curse us, you know what I mean? Well, you can sort of feel it, can't you? You can feel it coming. There's a momentum, a broader momentum, I think, than probably I can ever recall. You know, prior to this, there's times, you know, right back to 80, 86, 87 with Over the Top, where you had those pockets of influence, pockets of people following the sport, getting involved, but they were just that. They were signal flares. They were there, they were bright, they were gone. Now, it's
Critical mass.
Yes, yes, sir. It's there. You know, you can feel that momentum coming. And I wanted to sort of get an indication from you on what you think that the next step could be in that. Would you like to see more of these guys come in? Would you like to see more giants get involved in the sport, and so we can sort of pour this knowledge into them? And what would your advice be, or what would your thoughts be on how to do that best, mate? How to sort of bring these guys in and to encapsulate them in what we do?
Number one, yes, I think that's the best step we could take. The more exposure, the more star power we can get into the sport. Absolutely, there's no negative. There's no negative to Larry Wheels, no negative to Eddie Hall. Like, this is fantastic for our sport because, as you said, if you love strength sports, you're going to love strength sports. And guys who are big on deadlift look at an arm wrestler and say, that's pretty cool too. So there may be a lot of cross-promotional activities that happen. And I think this is what you're doing and what you're proposing with RBJ and Eddie. That's exactly how we do it. Like, we don't put Eddie up against Michael Todd right away, or Jerry Carteret, or Dave Chafee, or Devon Larratt. You put him in against someone maybe he's got a shot with. Who knows, right? And another thing that makes it exciting are these weight classes, matches as well. I've always loved that the most. Can that little guy beat that big guy? And can this veteran beat this newbie who's just literally the strongest person in the world? So I think that's the right way to do it. That's the key, because these people, these giants in their own sport, don't want to be embarrassed.
No.
Like, you can only be that good in the sport without having some belief in yourself and a little bit of ego. Not that it's a bad thing, but you have to have some of that, and nobody wants that crushed. So to bring these people in slowly, so to speak, I think is probably the best way to do it. And your match, the one you proposed, I think you did, with Eddie and RBJ is absolutely perfect. And I think that's absolutely the best way to go in bringing, hell, bring Shaquille O'Neal in, bring whomever, bring everybody in, and it's going to make a better sport.
You know what I love about Rob Vigent Jr., Eddie Hall the most? I'll tell you. Rob Vigent Jr., as a human being, as a man, is like a throwback to the era of Harry Greb, of Jack Dempsey, of that guy who's just, you know, you hit him in the face with a baseball bat and he spits toothpicks at you. He's just that old sort of visceral, raw son of a, you know what I mean? And why I love that is because anybody out there that thinks guys like Eddie Hall, or there aren't many guys like Eddie Hall, that's kind of a stupid statement, really. There's one. And there's other guys who are inhumanly strong. But if they think that those guys don't have the power to trouble a professional arm wrestler, they are very much mistaken. And I'm a professional arm wrestler, let me tell you. They have lanes.
Yes.
Little areas that they can access, if they can access them, where they're extremely dangerous. And if I'm going to arm wrestle that guy, I just pulled with Ed, and I'll dance around it. I'll move away from him. I'll weaken him. I'll take him out of that power. My job is to weaponize Eddie. Eddie's my friend. I don't want to get him hurt. I'm primarily focused on weaponizing Eddie, getting the best out of Eddie and teaching him in slow, considered increments. But if I can get to a situation where I can get that man to access that lane, to get into his power, holy mother of God, get ready. And why Rob Vigent? Because Rob Vigent is that guy that if you stand on the line, you draw it on the floor of the bar, and you say, cross that line and I will knock your head off, you know that, he's stepping forward because he has to know. There's something in him that it's ride or die, and he's ride all day. Yeah. And so there's just a little thing in my mind that makes me hopeful and believe that on the night of April 21st, when that thing starts, that Rob Vigent Jr. at some point is not going to take the route of the Juji Mufu and Micah Yellow thing. It's going to go a different way. I think that in Rob, that little voice on his shoulder is going to be going, you got to know, mate, you can't leave today without knowing. And I think he's just going to want to go where Eddie wants to go. And if he does that, it is on. And I can't wait.
I think that's a perfect description of what is likely to happen. Because I know myself, when you were describing how you would dance around him, you would go around him, you would use your technique and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I'm just going to jump in and let's see what's up. Like, yeah, he'll probably kill me, but I got to know too, right? I'd want to go with my ace. I just want to come inside and it's okay, Eddie, like, let's get at it and go. And I know Rob you're right. He's exactly that way you described. And I expect likely to play it safe the first round, kind of feel him out to see how strong he is and where he's strong. But I think you're right. After that sets in, it gets match one under the belt. He's going to be like, okay, everyone here is going to love me for this.
Where do you want to go?
There we go.
Yeah.
Right?
And let me tell you, when I was training with Ed, you get a situation where, you know, and Ed's no dummy. Ed's a very, very smart guy. Look at what he's doing on social media. Look at how he approached his whole strongman career. Eddie Hall was the first strongman to show up at events weighing 400 plus pounds with a fan wherever he went, just to keep him cool at tournaments. And everybody mocked him, joked him, took the mick, wound him up. You go to strongman events now and see how many fans are in there. Yeah. It's like a Madonna concert. There's friggin' seriously ridiculous.
How do you know what a Madonna concert's like?
No, you know, I once saw in a magazine. No, we'll leave it. But he approached everything with diligence, with professionalism. Sure. You know, I'll tell you how professional. And this is a guy he sort of looked up to and idolized a little bit. We've all got that guy in your sport, you know, that you looked up to. For me, I'm going to say it was Svetan Gashevsky, that I would study what he did. Watch. Thank you very much. But he was into Brian Shaw, mate. He loved Brian Shaw. And was with him at the Arnold Classic. And you know, he was doing the frame carry. And up the frame carry, it's on an incline. And this is a plywood, slippery base, you know. Before his run, Brian Shaw gets out of the frame. He test picks it a couple of times, and he gets out of the frame and he walks up this slope. And he is literally looking up the slope for little grains of dust and sand and just aggregate that's collected on this thing. And he's literally dusting it off because he wanted every little element to be perfect. And I'll never forget that. And Eddie was watching this, and I spoke to Ed about it, and he says, you know, that guy takes it seriously, and that's why he wins. That's why he's 4 times world's strongest man, because he's professional in what he does. He's a professional strongman. And Eddie Hall is a professional strongman, perhaps more so than anyone. So when he goes into a training session like that and he feels, you know, I've arm wrestled with Eddie many times before, just mucking around. When we first met, it was in those circumstances when I was actually strong. And Eddie soon found out that I was a professional arm wrestler, and he respected that. He never had any sort of airs and graces. He was very, very respectful of your discipline. I'm fascinated by it, to be honest. But what that breeds in a man like that is that he has respect for it, and he sort of distances himself from that. So he'll never just go flying in blindly. Right. But if he gets to a situation where he drops into that, and I can impart enough knowledge into the man by April 21st that he feels confident enough to rev up, it's going to be showtime.
I can't wait.
It has the, you know, it could all come crashing down, and Rob may just take him out of that lane, dust him off, you know. Either way, there'll be a lot of people watching. But why I love Rob is that reason. I don't think he can go to sleep that night if he don't know. I think Rob Vigent Jr. wants every angle covered, you know what I mean?
Are you posting this live, or did you do the other one live?
The show? No. This is recorded, mate. So we're you know, I'm not going to edit it. So anything you say that's really bad, I'm not going to edit it. I've been drinking a beer. This is Sunday night. I ain't editing it. Going out.
The reason I asked is Evan Burgoyne just messaged me and said, I wonder if I should get drunk and hydract this shit. So I don't know what he's talking about. If he's not talking about this, God knows I better lock my doors. So
anything could happen. I mean, Evan Burgoyne, that's a character right there. I mean, you'd want it. If you went on a hunting trip in the wilderness, that's the guy you want there with you, innit? I mean, Evan Burgoyne would be like a godsend. Because what can't that man do?
I don't know. Be polite. Be modest.
Hey,
be attractive.
What about Artem? For the bottom 8, Artem's not lacking confidence, is he?
No, he's not. I picked him to win last year just because he was Russian. He did, but he did do well. He did do well, yeah.
Mate, joking aside, Artem's his left is really solid. Mm-hmm. He's got a very, very solid left, and I think he's got a big future. He's young. Yeah. He can go a long way. There's no doubt about that. But listen, we got an interesting conversation. I wanted to sort of just preempt it a little bit before we get on. Later on this evening, we're going to get Ryan Bowen and BLM on here. And they're not on here now, and you might feel a little bit more comfortable in this scenario. That's because you know BLM, and you can talk around it later on. But that's a big match, mate, on 601. And a lot of people, there's a lot of chat about that, and I love that match.
So do I.
Where's your money? Well, it's just me and you and whoever else is watching this.
Brendan.
You got Brendan.
Well, and I'll tell you why. Mm-hmm. They're both really skyrocketing, right?
Yep.
Bowen more so than Brendan because he's put himself in those situations. He's forced people. He's traveled the world to force people to arm wrestling. But Brendan has kind of just been doing. I don't want to say he hasn't been, but not as much. He's been doing a lot of the talking, and that's good because he was more or less kind of a quiet guy before. But as far as the match goes, I'm getting off here. Brendan is faster. He's a big man. Brendan's tall. He's probably 6'2", 6'3". He's incredibly versatile. He can get very tight. He can get very tall on the table. The areas that Bowen would have over Brendan are strength and maybe conditioning, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. So if you factor in the speed and the technical aspects and being incredibly well-rounded, I'm going to say that Brendan should win this match. I know he really wants it. And he really needs to win. I mean, he's got to back up that mouth. And I don't mean that in a negative way.
No.
Because I like him and I encourage him. Because I messaged Brendan before and I tried to encourage him because the way I did it, like even before we met, you knew who I was because I was always, online, and you have to be calling these guys out. You have to be going to the place. I was going to New York City. I was going to all these places to fight all these guys, and I was doing it. And I told Brendan, you can't sit at home and just be on the computer saying, I'm the best. You got to go show up at his place, at his doorstep, fight him and beat him. And then you got to go to that guy's place, show up and beat him. You got to, like I flew to England 2 or 3 times to see you, just to fight guys, just to get my name out there. So you have to really put it out there. And I really think Brendan wants this more than anything else in life. I think he can do it, and I think he has to, and he knows that. So I give the slight edge to Brendan. Probably, I don't want to say 3-0 because I don't think he's going to get a 3-0 on him. But I can say probably 3-1 is what I'm expecting. But Bowen continues to surprise.
Doesn't he?
Yeah, I didn't think he'd win the bottom 8 last year. I didn't think he'd pass Burgoyne because Evan dusted him first round, and then Bowen just kept fighting, steady, fight, and he won. So a slight edge to Brendan. That's my answer for that match.
Interesting stuff, John. Listen, we're coming up to 20 minutes. I'm going to let you get off here. We're going to tie up a little bit later on this evening to speak to those 2 gentlemen, and you can play the role of diplomacy, devil's advocate,
I'm good at that.
Smoke grenade, whatever you want to be. But mate, I want to say a massive thanks for coming on. It's been an absolute honour, a pleasure. And just on a personal note, I want to say I am made up that you're back in the sport, mate. I think it's been too long, and I cannot wait to see what kind of damage you do when you get in there. And I know you're going to mix it up.
Well, thanks again, Neil. And as we get older, I know we tend to root for the older guys ourselves. So I know that your heart's going to be in my corner.
Yes, sir. All the very best, John. I'll speak to you soon.
Take care of yourself now.